Instant Pot beef stew is one of the most flavorful, comforting recipes to make, and you won't believe how quickly it comes together when made in the Instant Pot. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Kristen from A Mindful Mom, and I love sharing with you easy recipes your family will love. And I love my Instant Pot. Today, I'm sharing with you one of my family's favorites. This recipe is for beef stew, but it's not just any old beef stew. Just like a lot of my recipes, this recipe for beef stew has a few secret ingredients that will elevate the taste and flavor and make it spectacular. This one is memorable, for sure, and it's so easy to make. In just over an hour, you can have the most delicious, tender beef stew you've ever had. So let me show you guys how easy it is to make. The first thing you want to do is hit saute on your Instant Pot. Let it heat up until it reads hot, or for a couple minutes until your inner pot is nice and hot. While the Instant Pot heats up, we're going to season our stew meat. Now, you have a couple options for stew meat. You can purchase at the grocery store what's already labeled stew meat, or you can purchase a chuck roast or a bottom round roast and cut it up into 1-inch chunks yourself. I often purchase a large chuck roast, cut it in half, save half of it to make Instant pot roast, and the other half I cube up so that I can use it to make beef stew. My family loves both recipes, and that way I always have the meat on hand when the craving strikes. Once your meat is cubed up, you want to season the meat evenly with salt and pepper. Go ahead, get your hands in there and coat your meat in salt and pepper. Just be sure to wash your hands well after you season your meat. Our Instant Pot's heated up now, and we're gonna add in about a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna add in our meat and begin to saute that up until your meat begins to brown on all sides. I'm also going to add in 1 small diced onion. You can use any onion that you like, a yellow onion, a white onion, even a sweet onion will work in this recipe. Let your meat and onion saute together until your meat is almost all the way browned. Next, we're gonna add in some garlic. I'm using 3 cloves of garlic that have been finely minced. You can adjust the garlic to suit your family's preferences. You can use more, you can use less. You can use garlic powder. I would just use a teaspoon of dried garlic powder if you don't have fresh garlic or minced garlic on hand. Add your garlic in and saute for just 1 minute longer. Watch carefully, we don't want to burn our garlic. That will ruin a recipe really fast. Once our garlic has sauteed, it's time to deglaze our pan. I'm going to use a half a cup of red wine. You can certainly use beef stock if you don't drink alcohol. However, the wine adds a rich depth of flavor. It's incredible. I'm using a dry red wine like a Cabernet or a Merlot. And make sure that it's one that you enjoy drinking, because there's nothing worse than using a cooking wine. Ooh, the flavor, not so good. Add your wine and scrape up the brown bits on the bottom of your inner pot. This will prevent a burn warning. Turn your Instant Pot off, and now we're gonna add in our remaining ingredients. I'm going to add in 4 cups of low sodium beef stock. Now, my family really likes our beef stew loose and full of liquid, almost more like a thick soup than a stew, so to speak. So if you like a thicker style beef stew, use only 3 cups of beef stock. Next, I'm gonna add in 3 cups of cubed potatoes. I'm using baby Yukon Gold potatoes today. You can use russet potatoes, you can use red potatoes. You just wanna make sure that you wash your potatoes well and cube into about 1-inch sizes. Next, I'm gonna add in 2 cups of carrots. I cut those as well into 1-inch chunks, or you can cut baby carrots in half and add them right to your stew. And now for the incredible flavor and my secret ingredient. Same secret ingredient as my Instant Pot roast. I'm using jarred horseradish, not horseradish sauce, horseradish that's been freshly grated in a jar. You can get this in your refrigerated section. It's usually by the eggs. Go figure. That's usually where I find it at my grocery store. The horseradish is not overpowering. It helps to tenderize your meat and just give this stew so much flavor. If you think you don't like horseradish, I bet you'll like it in this stew. I'm also going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce has a lot of sodium added, and even if you buy low sodium, you may want to use just 1 teaspoon if your beef stock is not low sodium. That way you can help control the sodium content in your beef stew. So you can start with 1 teaspoon and add a 2nd teaspoon after the stew has cooked if you feel like it needs more flavor. Add in 1 bay leaf. I'm gonna add in 2 sprigs of fresh thyme. I love the earthiness that thyme provides to this recipe. You can certainly use 1 teaspoon of dried thyme if you don't have fresh thyme, or you can omit. Add in 1 cup of crushed tomatoes. You can use tomato sauce. I prefer the flavor of crushed tomatoes over canned tomato sauce, but use whatever you have on hand. We're gonna give that a stir. And that's it. We're gonna put our lid on our Instant Pot. And now we're gonna set cook time for 30 minutes on high pressure. Make sure your vent knob is pointed towards sealed, not venting. And then to set cook time, you're going to hit manual or pressure cook. Make sure high pressure is selected and then use the plus or minus buttons to adjust until it reads 30. If you have an ultra Instant Pot, you're gonna hit ultra and then you're gonna set the time and then make sure that high pressure is selected after you select 30 minutes. It will take some time for pressure to build, and then once cook time has elapsed and the 30 minutes have passed, let pressure release naturally. This will keep your meat super tender. It also will prevent any hot liquid from spewing out your vent knob because our Instant Pot is pretty full right now. Once cook time has elapsed, remember to let pressure release naturally or for at least 15 minutes before doing a quick release of pressure. That will keep your meat tender and keep liquid from spewing out that vent knob. When pressure has been released, we're going to open up our Instant Pot. I wish you guys could smell this. I'm transported right back to my papa's kitchen when I was a little girl, and he would make beef stew a lot in the winter. Great memories and absolutely delicious. Give your beef stew a stir and remove your bay leaf and thyme leaves as you come across them. We're gonna turn our Instant Pot off and then we're gonna hit saute again. We're gonna make a cornstarch slurry to thicken up our stew. Remember I said we like our stew a little bit thin, a little bit thick. So I use 4 cups of beef stock. You can use 3 cups, but I still like to thicken it with a cornstarch slurry to really make this stew thick and hearty. Whisk together 1 tablespoon of cornstarch with 3 tablespoons of water. Whisk until well dissolved. Our stew has come back to a bubble. We're gonna add in this cornstarch slurry. Stir your cornstarch slurry into your beef stew and stir occasionally as it thickens. This will take 3 to 5 minutes depending on how thick you like your beef stew. All right, my stew looks nice and thick and I'm ready to dish out some of this delicious comfort food. There's nice chunks of potatoes and tender carrots. Oh, and the meat is just falling apart. All right, let me give this a taste. It's so flavorful. You get the little notes of savoriness and a little bit of sharpness from the horseradish. It really opens up your palate and lets you experience all the tastes. It's delicious. At this point, if you needed to add any salt or pepper, do so. I don't. It's perfect as is. I'm gonna dig in. You guys need to check out my Instant Pot roast for another recipe to use up some of this horseradish. It's a secret that will change the way you cook meat. I'll see you in the next video.